Welcome to Bollywood Hungama's Best Actress Roundtable for the year 2022. It's an honor to sit on the table with such talented actors. Ladies, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure, and thank you from all of us first for being here.
Thank you so much.
The idea is to keep this light and fun, and that's what your year has been with seeing all your movies. So my first question is very simple. When a director calls action, you know, those few minutes before that, what do you go through? Because that's something that nobody else understands outside. You can start, Rakul.
Well, it depends on the kind of scene that you're doing,
Sure.
mostly. So a lot of thought process of, you know, if it's a low kind of scene, emotional scene, and if it's something that's very light-hearted, then you're actually joking and they say action, and in that momentum you sort of take the scene forward. So I think it always depends on what you're shooting, of what the thought process right before action is. At least I'm not nervous.
You're not nervous. Okay. Tamannaah, it's different for you?
I think I kind of decide what I'm going to do while the director is speaking and giving his instruction. Because I feel like that's when I am automatically visualizing it while he's speaking. And then that's just an instinctive process which then translates into whatever's going to happen. So actually it doesn't happen before those moments. It happens while the director is talking almost simultaneously as he speaks.
Right. Bhumi?
Honestly, I get very nervous. Every time before every shot, I'm like, Bhumi, naak mat katana, please. Please, people really think like, you know your game, just like maintain. So half of my energy goes into that. The other half goes into, do you remember your lines? Do you remember your lines? Do you remember your lines? Once I'm done with all of that. But I think, you know, for actors in general, the moment you hear action, you disconnect. Right? And I've come to understand this, that I'm more instinctive in a scene. You know, whatever I think, ye karungi, wo karungi, I do shit. It's nothing. The moment I hear, hamesha. Because there's so much energy that you take from everybody around you, right? But the moment you hear action, it's like everything else just doesn't cease. Like everything else just stops. You know, but I am just a nervous wreck before every shot.
Even if it's a comedy like Govinda Naam Mera.
And a lot of questions also that she has before and after.
Yeah, I'm a questioner. So people think I'm a serious actor. No, but I'm a very confused person in life. So, and I try not to bring that confusion onto my performance. So I just make sure that I'm on the same page. But I'm usually just nervous, and then
your confusion is turning into art.
I know.
If I had the superpower, I would love it. I would love it.
Right, Huma, there's such different answers. Is it any different for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody has a bit of nervous energy. My way of like dealing with that nervous energy is I'm always joking and laughing and like doing ha ha he hoo. Like that's my way of dealing with it. Kya I'm fine, theek ho jayega, kya karna. And my, you know, like a lot of people tell me that, you know, it's a very bad thing because people sometimes think you're not in the scene. But that's actually not true. It's just my way of dealing with my nervous energy, that I'm always goofy or whatever, even if it's a serious scene. I just need literally, before action, like 5 seconds aap meko de do, of just like quiet and just like with myself and what I'm going to do. And wo 5-10 seconds mein ho jata hai. I don't need to, and I'm not a very like what Bhumi was saying, I'm not a method actor. I don't prep actually that much, to be honest, because I feel read your script and all the answers pretty much are there. And uske baad sometimes I've also seen a lot of like actors like overthink and overanalyze and over-rehearse, and I feel sometimes the magic of that spontaneity within the scene goes. And for me, like I feel my first 2 takes are the best, because even I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, in that, like you walk into a room, you meet people, you don't know what's going to happen, right? There are possibilities. और जो पहली बार आपको मिल के, now you know, अच्छा अभी chair वहाँ रखी है, ये coffee पी रही है, then you know it. But not knowing and going for that, and that first 2 takes for me are the most.
Tell me कितने लोगों का Oscar गया क्योंकि focus नहीं पकड़ता पहले. I feel like I have the same thing. My first takes are the best and the focus is always off, and I'm like, तुम लोग के वजह से नहीं मिला मुझे Oscar, वरना मैं कब का पहुंची.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, because you've given a great take, and then suddenly focus. How do you recreate that? You know?
True. Alaya, different for you? Anything?
I think for me it depends on who's directing me. Like in my first film, when Nitin sir was directing me, I think I was more about trying to feel it, because I was like, you know, that's what you're supposed to do as an actor, first time ever doing it. The second time around, I was actually shooting with Anurag sir, Anurag Kashyap sir. With him, what I was doing in the 10 seconds before action was learning the new lines that he's randomly given me 10 seconds ago.
I know exactly what you mean.
Exactly. So I was like, that was like a totally different learning, you know. I think working with Anurag sir is when I started figuring out how to get my first 2-3 takes to be the best. Because he won't give you more than that. He'll just like move on.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Like, 1 second, I want more. So I think for me, it depends on who's directing me because I'm a total director's actor.
Nice.
I'll just like give in to whatever they're expecting of me or however they're directing me. So I think it totally depends.
But it's true
on
actually
that.
to what you're saying because I feel half the time like you go on a set and it's about like okay you read the script and you all have हमारे दिमाग में सबकी अपनी अपनी picture बन रही होती है. But only when you go and you understand अच्छा oh this is what we are trying to make.
Right.
And only I think I figured it out after the first 2 days. Because the first 2 days you're just figuring this is my interpretation of the scene, but actually this is what you need, and it just kind of just comes together.
But
so
yeah, I
each
think
director has a
director
different
makes a
experience.
huge
difference.
Yes,
Right, right.
absolutely.
Right, Bhumi, does this happen a lot? Like you'll get lines last minute. Does this happen?
It definitely happens, but honestly, the toughest part of the entire process for me is memorizing lines. Yeah, it's very tough for me.
You have amazing memory.
No, I have amazing memory with other things. I don't have amazing memory with learning lines. So it's a process for me, but I feel because fortunately I worked with enough filmmakers that have given me the space to improvise, and I do a lot of that. I don't think you can do that in comedy as much, you know, contrary to what people might believe, you know, and especially if it's comedy that's very metered, you know, and then the director has a certain way he wants it to land, and everybody has to land in the same way. So there you don't have the space to improvise. But with drama, there's no end to it, and if you have co-actors that you can go with, or slice of life films, right? There's no end to it, and that's what I personally enjoy, and that's why they say, like, you know, comedy is the toughest.
Comedy
it is the toughest.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you feel very controlled as an actor also when they tell you that this is how my line needs to come and this is the timing, and that's when actually I think if at all nervous energy steps in, because you're like, I have to land it right, and then you know you sort of get stiffen inside that my body language has to be chill, but then I need to land it, I need to be aware what everyone's saying, and I think comedy is the toughest.
Comedy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, talking about each of your roles, we did an interview before Dr. G release, and you know, you told me though there's a line in the movie that says Doctor hota hai,
Right.
but you know, you had said that going to a male gynaec was a different experience for you as well. Can you share with this audience what is this concept? Can it be that easy? Doctor hota hai.
You know, absolutely. I remember speaking to you about this, that long ago, the first time I ever went to a gynaec, it happened to be a male gynaec, right? And I'd gone with my mom, and I had no experience of what it would be. And this was an army hospital, so you don't know who's on duty, and it was a male gynaec. And I felt a little shy, right? Like the first moment you're a teenager. And then I had my mother, so I was okay. But then I just forgot about it, right? It's not a thought that stayed on with me, and then you evolve and you grow as a person, and then at a certain point you don't know when your mind has sort of adapted to it that it's fine if a doctor is a doctor. But during Dr. G, I realized when we were doing that film that it's actually not the case with so many people. And I feel what's wrong? I mean, it's human anatomy. You would go to an eye surgeon, and why wouldn't you go to a male gynaec? I think it should be your credibility as a doctor, which should be accounted for more as opposed to the gender that you are. And I think that's why, for me, honestly, Dr. G was such an important film that it's for them, it's a physical aspect of your body. Now tomorrow, you, God forbid, you have to go in for a heart checkup or your surgery. You're not going to say ki male heart checkup karega ki female karega, ya who's going to split open my body or whatever, right? So I think that's a conversation that needs to sort of start.
But there was an interesting scene in the trailer where one husband is beating up Ayushmann, saying, "My wife ko touch kaise kiya?"
Correct.
So those were really like, it was a very done film. Right.
And which is why there are some rules, you know, that you should have a female attendant in the room, if there's a male gynaec who's checking on a female, you know, so those ethics of doctors.
Right. Now, when I'm coming to your film, Babli Bouncer, you know, this is a time where a lot of girls who must be watching this interview also want to be a type. You know, there's a box, petite, you know, everything. You went and did Babli Bouncer, which a lot of people praised you, and you know, every review that I read first praised you for doing something like that. What was on your mind that you decided to do this firstly?
First, I think that for me, I find this time that we are in right now very interesting because as characters, we are whole as a person.
Right.
I think female actors were always an accessory at some point. Now we're given fully rounded characters. So we are a full person and we are playing a character. Apart from that, what I loved about Babli was there was no definition as to what is being feminine and what is to be masculine, because that we as a human being embody both.
Right.
And everyone has a different combination of that. And just because someone might look physically like, a girl might look physically tomboyish or might behave like that, does not mean that she emotionally is not like a female. And just the fact that there was no definition to it was very exciting for me to play that part. And I felt like I have a lot of friends who are, who are like tomboyish, but they're so there's so much of a the way they feel shy. I don't even know if most of other women feel like, I don't know, बहुत ही innocent सा उनका, बहुत ही naive सा एक उनकी जो shyness होती है, which I don't see in a lot of other women. Right. So it was all these things that made it very exciting for me to play.
But you all made a great film. Bhumi, we did an interview in this very room. That was the first interview you all did for Govinda Naam Mera. And the way you say mast, the way your director Shashank said in that interview that I cast people and then I decide that then they should also decide whether they can do it. Is that the magic? That's why it worked?
I think so, because also a lot of it was in the script.
Okay.
But Shashank individually, because it was an ensemble cast and every character was doing their individual thing. Every character was very specific in the way they spoke and the way they looked. So there was a lot of character development that went into creating Gauri as well.
Yeah.
I'm a Maharashtrian, but my Marathi
is not the best.
Is not the best. Yeah. So for me, it was.
But आपने बहुत अच्छी acting करी
of knowing Marathi.
So for me, it was a bit of like, I was like, okay, here I am playing a character where I'm actually, what do you call it? I'm playing somebody who's from my culture. Right. So I have to do it as authentically as I can, because it would be a great opportunity missed.
Right.
So we worked on the diction, and after a very long time I did a film where I had a diction coach, because you can't do it for every film. Every director does not require that. Every director wants to make their film in a specific way, and that's how you kind of evolve into different paths. But for Gauri specifically, we had a diction coach. Went through various rounds of costume trial, look changes, this, that, just to get like he literally went into the detail of what the hair color would also be, which was fantastic, and that's why like.
I also love that little pool you always.
Yeah. That was my touch. That was my touch.
I knew it.
Right. Even Badhaai Do, this girl is also very when she's powerful, when she wants to be, she can walk up to Raj's character and say, "Why you're following me?" What was that experience like, and how much of a rapport that you all share reflected on the screen?
Raj is one of my closest friends.
Okay, that's good to know.
He is a buddy, and we really are intolerable when we are together. And I think this chemistry and this rapport comes from the fact that our first film was a film like Badhaai Do.
Right.
Where we were just two people so dependent on each other. Our characters were so dependent on each other. We are married, but we are best friends, we are flatmates, we are siblings. It sounds a little weird. And we are two people that are we can only trust each other.
Right.
It's us against the world, even though, we are not romantically with each other. So I feel going through that process, there was so much trust and faith that Raj and I have with each other. I feel that's why Badhaai Do, the film shaped up to be what it was, and it is one of my most favorite films. I think in my filmography, I know Damna Kaake Haisha is very celebrated, like it's so loved, but I feel if there's something that's close to my first film, it's Badhaai Do. At least for me personally, because after very long, I saw such volume of love come for a film, and it's not because I'm in it. I feel like just the film in itself is so loved and so celebrated. Like, I clearly get very emotional when I speak about it. It's so overwhelming.
No wonder it's loved the way it is. Absolutely, it's the way you guys made it.
I remember in Badhaai Do, when I saw the film, what I found very, very interesting is never has the same gender love been shown in the cinematic way of love. You know, like normally it's a song is always between a guy and a girl, but we've not seen it in the same gender. So I was just so happy to see like slow-mo shots and you know the beautification, which is what we know as cinema.
Exactly.
You know, the romance which is cinematic. I think that was a first for me, and that's what like stayed with me because I feel like all of us have a perception of romance somewhere through Bollywood, through the cinema that's been created. So this is such a beautiful film to actually give that to so many people. So well done.
Well done, absolutely. Huma, Maharani and Maharani too, they changed so much it added so much to your profile. Did you
Maharani.
we did an interview right here in this very place. I was talking about who do you said your parents are so proud and people come to them. Was that the kind of reaction, one, that you were expecting because it's a character people know, and what was that whole experience for you like?
You know, when I signed one, of course, this was starting of the pandemic. This was the first Zoom narration I ever had, of any script. Because this is quite fairly common, but that was my first Zoom narration. And I remember listening to it, I'm like, oh, this is quite interesting. But then, of course, I wanted to read it. And when I read it, there were a lot of concerns. One of them, of course, is like the usual हमारे industry में जैसे होता है, अरे तो 3 बच्चों की माँ है इसमें, it's de-glamorized, ये तुम करके, are you slotting yourself, maybe you have another 10 years to do these kind of parts, why would you do this? And I would lie if I said I did not think about it or did not question myself, but then I was like, this is an amazing script, and I'm so glad actually that it happened during the pandemic, because you have all this time to really think about your reasons of living, being an actor, all those existential questions जो हम सबने सोचे थे. तो I am actually very grateful कि उस वक्त मेरे पास ये script है, क्योंकि क्या पता normal में I would have said नहीं कुछ और करते हैं, I would have gotten distracted. But because I had all this time to really think about it, I was like, I must do this, and I must do this as if this is the last time I'm doing anything, with whatever I've got. And I'm so grateful to Subhash sir for writing, conceiving this beautiful character and for trusting me with it. And it's heavy lifting. It's like now 20 episodes down, and it's one of the most like fulfilling characters I've ever played. It's a proper like, there's nothing missing in it.
It's one of my most favorite shows, and I think people who know Huma, right, she's a completely different person from from Maharani, and it's the way she's played that, and it's a character that'll stay with her for life. I remember chatting with you the first.
When I watched it, I was so overwhelmed because I was like, Huma has killed it. You feel very happy when you see your friends and your colleagues, like, do parts where they have like, where they can juice. She's juiced it with that song, and I was like, dude, high time. Like, I was so happy, and I was like so over. I was like, Huma, see, the film is, there's so many of my friends, right, doing like, they all are fantastic in the film, but I was very excited because I was like, she is so good in Monica. She's so good.
Rooms, I love you.
I
have to tell you, Bhumi sends the world's best voice notes, guys. Like, if your day is slightly grey, just go back, listen to her voice notes, and I'm like, if Bhumi thinks this is amazing, I swear there's so much. Like, we also spoke, you also called me. ये जो voice notes भेजती ना, मैं यार तूने दिन बना दिया, तो मैं जब भी वैसे थोड़ा low feel करती हूँ, उसके voice notes सुन लेती हूँ.
No, we should just message Bhumi एक voice note.
No, really, and it's so nice, and I think there's so much like love on this table, because I feel, at least, and we've spoken about this, that whenever you see other female actors doing well or like tonking it, when I see, it really pushes you and it inspires you. So I am to always championing, whenever any of them are doing great box office numbers or great performances, because when any of these girls, like, they do well, they are creating opportunities for so many others.
And I think that's the way to be, because we are one fraternity, Rohit, and we're, unless we support each other and we stand and celebrate each other, it's not going to happen. We can't sit back and say roles are not written or characters aren't written when we aren't really happy for our co-actors or other female and I never understand competition in a bad sense. It only pushes you to do better. That drive sort of,
And also it's this general feeling, right? Like, I'm asked this because I've done a lot of like 2 heroine films, I'm always asked this. how is it working with like, you know, whoever your female co-actor is, you know, was there competition? I was like, why don't you ask me this when I'm working with a male? Like, that's a co-star. I was like, yes, there's competition because I'm a competitive person, but it's healthy. It pushes me to do better. It's not vindictive or like, oh, usne kya pehna, so all that shit doesn't happen.
And you know, this is, I feel it's just created. It's never there. At least I've never, it's a narrative.
औरत की दुश्मन होती है, मतलब ये ऐसी बातें, not at all. You're either two people that get along, or you're two people that don't. It has nothing to do with your gender.
Yeah, that is.
Let's just get that like completely out. And
this word, this cat fight,
horrible.
I want to scratch away that word.
Like, dog fight. Do when boys fight, or dog fight. Like, no, you think two people are not getting along. But with women, there has to be this masala that has to come along with
narrative. I've never had that.
And also, I feel like women, irrespective of their background, you know, we share a lot of common experiences that can't be changed. You know, so whatever background you're from, whatever part of the society you belong to, there'll be certain things that we all have felt. And that's why there's so much empathy, you know, and that's why there isn't like, you know, this whole portrayal of,
in fact,
you know, there are
working with women is more fun.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun.
and you're looking out for each other.
Your angles.
Sorry. You know, there's this, like, I have the comfort to go tell her, like, you know, we are doing something together. I don't know what I should say.
I love promoting that film. No. I love it.
You're not. It's just about like, you're just saying female. Acha, your hair is correct. You can't do that with a male co-actor.
Look at each other.
And you probably think you're hitting on him. So
what if you're hitting on him?
What? Yeah.
Babe, then there are other ways to hit on him.
Better ways. But I'm saying,
right, Alaya, come to you.
I'm so sorry.
No, Alaya,
I want to
listening to all
add things,
this.
but I've not worked with a female co-actor, so like, what to even say here?
Right, but listening to all this, what they're saying, you know, you have done very well in a short span, and we are very proud of you. But you know, also, are these learnings that you're seeing that, you know, because people may tell you there's competition, there's cutthroat, you have to fight for roles. This is a very different narrative.
Very much so. Sorry, what was the question?
So does it, you know, is all this a learning for you? Are you someone who absorbs all this? Because what they're saying is really important.
100%. I mean, even just like the moment today where I was sitting here and we switched places just so I could be seen and have the light and have a little bit of my dress on the side, you know. It's just a wonderful, subtle but powerful way of empowering and supporting someone else. And I think that's amazing. And I've come to this table and I don't really know anyone here very well before today. But there's just this warmth and just this amazing energy that's there. And I think it's wonderful. And I think seeing people in the industry who are all my seniors and all of that behave a certain way and say
that was very heavy. I'm also still learning, trust me, I'm as clueless as you.
But I love being called a senior.
We might sit here and give all this gyan, trust me, we are
At
as clueless.
the start also, we don't have anything to give.
Actually, can I tell you one thing, Alaya, the fact remains, the more work you do, actually there's a lot more unlearning to do. So somewhere I feel like it's nice when you know, this is a great time in your career, and I mean, I would kill to be there, because I feel like there's something so beautiful about you know, first, so just something where you start off. And I think I keep loving your posts. I love all the that you put up.
I am trying to learn with every little bit, with every interview, with every interaction, with every set I'm on.
Trust me,
you know, I feel like
process. And anybody who
There's
thinks
always
that
so much to
I've
learn.
learned and I've understood it all, actually the downfall starts then. You know,
I've somehow acted with like all these senior actors repeatedly over and over again, and it's no. But
Are you calling Karthik?
I mean established, like, you know, very like
senior.
I mean, like, you know, people that really know what they're doing. Oh my god. No.
Listen, this is no. They're very happy. Inko mil gaya inka headline wala
The headline is recorded.
Karthik Aaryan is a senior.
Right. You know, coming to your film, you had these two different personalities in Freddy. One is this vulnerable girl, and one is this killer in every sense. Which one is close to your personality, firstly?
I'm sure not the killer.
I think, okay.
Let's see.
So, Neither, really, because I'm not that sweet, demure, shant, soft-spoken girl either. And I'm definitely not the crazy, manipulative, turtle soup eating, one either. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. But I think sometimes I can be that, sometimes I can be that.
That's the best part.
I also think my personality is changing like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because so many new experiences are happening.
To our world.
I feel like some days I'm like, 1 second, is this my perspective on something now? Because 2 months ago I felt very differently about it. So yeah, I have no idea who I am.
Is this how it will be? You'll keep changing priorities, perspective?
Absolutely. I'm a different person.
Absolutely. I think when you look back, right now, when I look back from when I started, I think leaving the core out, I'm a completely different person with my set of ideas or ideologies or how you think the world is going to operate and how people around you are, because you are in that bubble and you step into this world and then slowly that layers start peeling and you see different kinds of people, different experiences and you evolve every day. You evolve with your thought process, with your craft, with the person that you are, and it's an ongoing process. Even today, I think 5 years down the line, maybe my opinion on something might be completely different from what it is today.
I was having this conversation with David Dhawan, and he called and I love David sir, and he called and he said he saw Monica and he liked it. And I was like, sir, I feel so stupid because when I was doing Badlapur with Varun, like now when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I was so like, I was a completely different person. I wish like I thought like this and I had approached that character like that, I would have played it very differently. I mean, it's still a great film and I'm very proud of it. But like you also grow, and I look back at my life, I'm like, but I was thinking that. And as an artist, as an actor, like your work is always a reflection of how you're feeling and how you're doing. So I feel that is something, at least today, I know, like I want to really like protect.
Right. Like but great, you're going in the right direction. You just did Monica, which we all were discussing, we loved. So that's the most important thing. I want to discuss, since they are all women on this table, and I'm going to discuss two important topics. One is this, that pay parity. One is because Priyanka Chopra just said that after 22 years, she's getting paid as much as her male co-star. It took her 22 years and it has never happened. She said, I was also paid, she told the BBC in an interview, she said, I was paid 10% of my male co-star.
But 5%, 1%.
Yeah. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
That's what I was coming to. Is it still like that, or is it?
Yes, very much. I think it also, what's going to really happen is, as female actors, we are going to have to create a strong market for ourselves, like Rakul said, with the kind of parts we are doing.
Like
there's no other way to do it. The fact remains, the disparity is going to be there. It's been there, not just, I mean, in our industry, it's the most obvious. I'm sure it's in other places too, but here it is. For them, maybe it's not the pay that really varies, but the way things are conducted, it is different. But here, talking about the pay here, I feel like that disparity has been there, but now is a great time for female actors to kind of work towards creating that market for themselves.
I think it's still a long journey though. It's still a long journey because of too many factors to sort of the kind of equal pay that men get. See, there are too many things, right, Rohit? There are films that, how much value are you adding to the film,
So is it pure business, you're saying?
No, I'm saying even if a female is driving a film, she will never be paid. I don't think she'll be paid equivalent to a male driving a film.
Right.
See, let me just to quickly add on to what both of them are saying, and I agree with them. But see, I'll tell you what the difference is. Okay, today, say for example, poster Maharani. I know a lot of these so-called female-centric driven films where I am the highest paid person on that particular film, but because I'm leading that film. Correct. But I also understand that the budget of my film is not the budget a male actor with my given track record will get.
That's what I was
And that difference in my budget will not because of the script or what the film needs.
Also the reach.
It will purely be because
that's exactly what
there's a thinking here.
There's a market, like you said, the boys have a certain market.
But the market is created over years, no?
That's why I said
you are
it's a long
comparing
journey.
10 female-made films to like hundreds and hundreds and thousands of films.
Hence, now is the time we can start building
pool.
that. Absolutely, I think that is the time where, I mean, see, I see Alaya, getting some big numbers. So it's possible. It's not like it's not possible.
100% is possible.
So there are certain actors that are able to rake that.
Correct.
So I think it's just a matter of time where certain female actors, when they push the bar,
but you know what I feel
at least comes closer. If it, I mean, I don't know if it will ever become the same.
With our gender, there'll be one or two standouts. That doesn't happen with boys.
To everyone.
Okay, I could have had as many 100 crore, 200 crore films in my kitty as my co-actor. I could have done maybe more successful films that are critically and commercially appreciated. But yet, it's a norm where I will not be paid even close to what he gets paid. You know, and I feel a change can't just happen with us fighting ki no, we will make a place. We have to, 100%, but it has to happen from every aspect.
It's a systemic thing.
We need our men also to understand, like, you know, when you, in the West, right? This was a fight in the West a couple of years ago as well. It's still on. You know, there isn't parity over there either. But you had the boys also stand up and be like, guys, okay, if you are not going to pay her, I'll take a pay cut. I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying you need to have certain amount of empathy. And there are, like, I have worked with co-actors, you know, where they have, like, and I don't want somebody to stand up for me. I want somebody to understand that there is a problem and address the problem. Because you can't do it in isolation. You know, so we can't pretend like, we are very fortunate, all of us are very fortunate to be actors in a time where there are such fantastic roles written, and we are finding solace in the fact that, chalo, finally mujhe act to karne ko mil raha hai. But why don't I deserve that money? You know, and
because I'm putting that much effort, time, all of that.
Absolutely.
No, but I also think the day the more important decision-making people in the film business take this up as a responsibility. And then we will see a change, because also when producers or people who are you know, HODs are in positions of power are going to kind of understand that women need to be paid a certain way, not because they're women, but because they're actually contributing to the film.
Because you're contributing equally to the film, and even when you're driving a film, you are sort of, you know, driving that particular film. But like Huma said, that there are a lot of factors to this. There is a long journey ahead, but then there are the budgets of the films, the reach of the film, the scale of the film, you know, too many factors.
And then if it's like a 125 crore film,
I'm saying
they are still not going to.
I'm telling you, there are actresses.
They will not set a 100 crore film on women.
Correct.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Or you have to be like a really big star for it to happen with the. See, but the point also is that I know so many, like, and I don't want to take names of like actresses, okay, who. Like, sometimes the hair and makeup people make more money than on the film, because they are paid per day.
Correct.
And they, you know, and it's shocking actually, and it's quite disgusting in a way, because yahan pe you are being positioned as a leading lady, blah 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 of the film, but you know, you don't feel empowered enough to ask for something. I'm not saying get paid as much as a male star, because obviously they're bringing in the box office and all of that, and rightly so. But something, there has to be some, there has to be some balance, no?
And I feel like, you know, there's this general feeling that people have, right? If supposing it's a big film with like a successful male co-actor, and that film comes to you and they will literally offer you 1% of what the co-actor is making, your budget is 125 crores, you're playing your male actor, I don't know, like a double digit crore, and you're literally coming and offering me this, but I should be thankful to you because you've come. No, why should I be? You want me in this film because I add a certain amount of credibility.
No, but you know what? It's always like, oh, it's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
And it's always 10 साल हो गए काम करते करते अभी भी opportunity cost.
You know, I read this very Priyanka Chopra only because you mentioned her. She had said something long back in one of her earlier interviews. She said that, you know, this happened with her, and she realized that because they treat it like an opportunity cost, or people treat because you're replaceable.
Yes.
She's like, I want to be or build myself as someone who's irreplaceable. That, you know, ठीक है, ये लड़की नहीं है तो ये, or it'll actually come to you at the last minute also sometimes. So if you can't accommodate dates, you're like, oh my God, I need to do this, and then. So, you know, so then you're like, how do I do this? And because you want to really do it, then you'll agree to the to whatever facts, and because there's a certain positioning. So I remember her speaking about this and saying that I want to build myself into somebody who's completely irreplaceable, and I think that's the way forward for all of us to whatever we are doing, to do it to our best abilities, and keep working for a constant change. You know, that's the only
but
way.
I wish it was the same both ways.
We have to be
women and boys are like, no, the only way I'm going to be I have to do mehnat, I have to look like that.
See, there's also patriarchy in the society.
Absolutely.
You know, we can't.
I'm saying, like, in an idealistic world, I wish, like, you know, that's what we all are working towards, right? You know, when all of us have come from, we all have had a great year. You know, we all have had great films to support, and, you know, performances that have been loved, you know, absolutely. But does that give us some kind of ease for next year? No, we are going to again get into that is, okay, fine, because that's the reality of it, right? It's never, it shouldn't be ever enough when it's coming from ambition. you know. But when it's coming from a place of
lack.
Exactly. So then it becomes, and I feel just the power of saying no. The day you understand that no, you can say no. I started doing that fairly early on in my career, you know, and I realized that, okay, whatever it is, at least people now know that you have to come to me and you have to give me respect.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
You know, it is not okay. So when I feel like, okay, we have to create a safer environment, that can only happen when people know that, okay, she's not going to take your shit. Right. And I might sound very harsh right now. You know, I've had some fantastic experiences. I've been very fortunate to work with fantastic co-stars and directors and producers because they respected what I was bringing to the table.
Correct.
Most cases.
Yes. And you do.
You do bring a lot to
That's a later conversation.
Calm down.
No, but it's...
I see where Bhumi comes from because it's unfortunately, even to put a point like that, we have to feel sort of apologetic about it because all of us have been tuned. We've been tuned to kind of not take our due and not, you know, if you're putting a point, it's offensive.
Tough. She's difficult to work with.
Tough to work with.
She's tough to work with.
I mean, having an opinion kind of translates into being tough to work with.
But see, it's a chicken and egg situation, right? Like, if there are films in which you're actually just an accessory, and in the hero's journey, you're either feeding him gajar ka halwa, or, you know, like bringing him shoes when he's going to work. I mean, you know, I'm just trying to be funny, but you're basically supporting his journey, his dreams.
Right.
And thankfully now at least you've reached a point where writers, directors are writing parts for women where you're not just that. They're reimagining, you know, their entire thing. So 100%, and then usme you can and you should, and also I feel it has to be also about, like, so many times creatively, like a script comes to you and I can't do this because, you know, it's dumb. You know, I can't do this. I've reached that point. I'm like, please, like, I can't do this. Like, it's disrespectful to me to play a character which I'm finding, you know, morally, like, I'm like, I can't do this.
Great, good to know these perspectives. I'm sure a lot of people are watching this, and, you know, there has to be a change gradually. The other point I want to discuss, because again, you know, there'll be a lot of young girls watching this, because, you know, they listen to y'all, they listen to what you say.
Please
don't. But the thing is, I interviewed Radhika Apte and I asked her about intimacy coordinator. She said it's a great thing, but she gave me an example. She said, I was told in Hollywood, she said, I was told to do a scene, I did that scene and I came back home. She said, my managers told me that this is wrong what has happened to you today. Then this is all on camera in my interview, you can go and see. And then she was told that this is wrong. They called the director and they said it's wrong. The director called Radhika and apologized. She said, nobody knows, I also didn't realize it's wrong, director didn't realize it's wrong. How important it is for an intimacy coordinator to be there on the set for each one of you. Would you prefer it? Does it work for you?
Yes. I think I would totally prefer one. Like we were chatting before, you know, this concept of at least in India, intimacy coordinators just come in the last few years. And actually, when you start out your journey, you don't even know, you know, what are the questions you can ask, what are the questions that are rightly supposed to be framed, who are the people, like when you're new, right? You don't know how many people can you ask for on set. And I remember when I started in my first ever on-screen experience, I just didn't know anything. I just went with it in a way that I would do any other scene. And then nobody really asks you, are you comfortable? Are you okay? Are you, you know, or make you feel at that point. And also I didn't know any better. But now I think things are much better, like, you know, where you have people sort of talk you through it, make sure that there's no unwanted people on set, speak about as basic as what is the length, what is the, you know, the intensity. And it's so important because otherwise it feels like it can be difficult. And I think these intimacy coaches really help.
I mean, the idea that you have somebody on set, you know, who's just watching out to make sure that people involved in that, you know, feel comfortable.
Right.
See, as actors, in any case, doing any scene, you're putting yourself out there. You're being super vulnerable. This is, of course, even more so. And trust me, nobody feels super happy ki, oh, aaj, you know, we have a scene. There's always a little bit of a awkwardness on set.
Always.
Everybody's feeling a little like, aaj, It's like Bhumi and I have to do a kissing scene, so everybody's going to be like, okay, let them be today. Like, I know somehow. It's like a general, ek leher si hoti hai.
Yeah. The silence. People are not talking.
People are just awkward. I don't know. Everybody's awkward. So I mean, today my way of dealing with it is like, is it okay if I touch you here? Baba, should I touch you here? So the guy is the hell, I'm the guy.
Yeah. I'm like, can I tell you one thing, Huma? I have seen more men being uncomfortable or being awkward in the intimate scene. I hope not. I hope it's just their general feeling. But I have seen men, so it's just not, it's basically about understanding that actors are just human. It's not about us being male or female. We're all kind of going through the same emotion. Intimacy coaches for men and women are equally important because sometimes guys are a lot more shy and they're a lot more worried about how the woman is going to feel in that equation. So I have seen, whenever I have had any experience, I've always been like, the guy seems more worried than I do. So I've understood that it's actually a lot for the guy more than the woman.
The guy might feel that it's your space, right? So how much is okay or how much is too much?
So an intimacy coach actually really comes a lot even for the men.
Yola, in fact, I can say from experience, Yola have come at a better time because, you know, I've been covering this for very long. Media used to be called on days when there would be scenes like that to cover it.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's so exploitative.
That's so, you know, nobody realized the right and wrong. Nobody realized what the girl is going through. Clearly there were cameras just watching. So you all have actually become actors at a time when these discussions are there.
I remember like it was such a big deal if you were kissing in a film. Like there were just questions around it, right? Like when I was growing up, I was obsessed. So I would watch like all interviews, etc. And there was such a big deal that was made where like, you know, the women were just asked, how was it kissing? What
how was it kissing this guy? Kitne kissing scenes the iske andar?
But it's just
Kaisa laga?
Can I also
it became a PR peg.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that's
it
not
has
the
changed.
case.
But Rohit, can I also add here, at least for me as an actor, there's nothing beyond, I mean, trust me, it is so mechanical. Everything, it's so mechanical that when people ask, why you okay? I'm like, you know, it's the same. There is no thought, not even an iota of thought about anything else but doing my scene. Sometimes you're actually counting seconds in your head. Okay, they said 3 seconds or 4 seconds, so I go in 1, 2, 3. But really, I'm just saying
I think it also depends on what level of intimacy you're showing.
Yeah.
Because when I did Lust Stories, I was nervous. You know, it was a full throttle orgasm, and it was like, but for me that time my intimacy coordinator or whatever was Zoya. You know, we didn't have that, but just the sensitivity with which she took me and Neil through it, you know, because as she said, it's just not about because you're a girl you should feel comfortable even a male co-star needs to. But I was nervous. You know, I was nervous because you're literally, this is the most naked I can be in a room full of people. You know, I barely had any clothes on, even though like, you know, we had protection, like whatever, there were technically everything was done, but still between Neil and I, we had to like sit down and be like, okay, these are our boundaries. You know, you need to have boundaries, and I feel just that conversation between your director, your co-actor and you is so important because you're in a moment, you know, it's no different. In fact, I feel for me like, you know, doing like even in Dolly Kitty, right, there was a lot of intimacy that I shared with my host, and I would be tired. Like literally I would need a day where I would tell my director that Alankrita, I need to take an hour break because it's just not about you kissing, you're feeling those, I mean, you are human. This is my experience. It is mechanical, sure, but you are human. I would be lying, like if I'm showing true intimacy, I am feeling it. I might not be feeling it for that person, but my character is feeling it for that character. So if I'm crying, I'm actually crying. If I'm loving, I'm actually loving, and it's exhausting. So for me, when I have to do an intimate scene, if it's kissing, I agree, like, you know, you do your thing, but still like it is emotionally challenging for me because I have to kind of cut off with Bhumi and, you know, I have to kind of create a very safe space even in my head and be like, okay, there's going to be somebody touching you, you know, you are going to be exchanging a lot of emotion, energy, and how do I do it? I can't be Bhumi while kissing a person. I have to be my character. So there's so much of that channelizing also goes. So for me, intimate scenes get very, very unnerving.
It's good.
No, like I had a traumatic one, right? Because in Badlapur, I'm playing a sex worker where I get raped. You know, and for us, why that scene, and why that's the reason I did the film, because for me it was such a beautiful thing to explore. Can we make people feel bad for a sex worker who we judge so freely that she can also be exploited, that she can also be raped, and she's also a woman at the end of the day. So I love that thing in that character, but when doing that scene, I was a wreck. We had Pooja, who was the editor on the film, and she was my intimacy director at that point of time, and it was the safest I could have ever felt with Sriram and Varun, and they were all amazing. But it's a lot. And I remember going back to my room, and I was fully clothed the whole time. It was all like simulated, but still, just after that, like I went back home and my hands were shaking. Like I was just shaking. Because I know what you mean. Like you're not feeling it for the other person, but you're there. So whether it's rage, I mean, whether it's romance, it's the breathing. I felt rage because you want to hit the person back and you can't. So I just felt rage, and I had to like really calm myself down.
Are you someone who will ask questions, and are you someone who will just be like, okay, this has to be done, I'll do it?
In terms of intimacy?
Yes.
Oh, I ask so many questions. Because actually this was Freddy was the first time I actually had to kiss on screen. I've never kissed on screen before that, or even actually since that. That happened to be the only film where I had to. And I remember before the first day we were supposed to have this kissing scene. First day I'm sweating. I know the scene's about to happen, so I'm only getting nervous. I'm only talking about it because, I don't know how to contain my nervous energy. So I'm only making a big deal out of it. Then I'm feeling even more awkward that it's become a big deal. Now I come and I sit and we're waiting for the shot to be set up. And Karthik is sitting there and I'm like, so how do you do this? You've done this a lot, no? And he was like, done what a lot? I was like, no, like you've kissed on screen a lot, no? And he was like, acha, waise bol na? And he was like, and he was like, so then I was, so then he was like, I don't know, like how you kiss like that only. And I was like, no, but like I need specifics. So I go to Shashank sir and I'm like, so like, is it like, what type of kiss is it? And this and that, is that someone has to go for one lip and the other lip? I was like,
very important.
I had no idea also like, how does it look on camera? Because like normally when you kiss someone, you don't think about how it's going to look or what your face is going to be doing. So I asked a lot of questions, and there was a running joke on set, which was that I asked for one more take in every single scene,
except
whether I get it or not, except this one. They were like the one thing that Alaya was like, and it became like a running joke on set because that's the only scene. The kissing scenes were the only ones that I'd be like, and then I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
But that's good. You ask questions, and that's what they are saying, that it's so important to
it's so important.
But Rohit, can I tell you one thing for actors, and I think I would want people watching in the audiences to hear this, because a lot of people have a lot of misnomer about how cinema is or how a film set is. Because I came from a non-filmy background, and I've actually grown up in the movies. Yeah, I think all of us are. Except for Alaya. So there was a lot of stigma around whatever, be it romance or intimacy, and people have actually asked me questions like, you work with so many different men all the time, don't you fall in love with them all the time? That's a very strange common man question asked to actors. But my only example to them is I have a lot of doctors in my family. And when a doctor sees a dead body, he doesn't feel anything. It's not because he's not involved in what he's doing or not involved in his job, or he's not putting his entire mind, body, soul into curing that person. But it's just that part of your mind has not even shut, it's just immunized itself to the fact that you're not going to feel a certain way. So while we're all doing intimacy, while we're all romancing on screen, for people out there, we don't fall in love with every person.
Which is what I started saying.
It's a common man question.
Which is what I meant when I said that it's so technical and it's like another scene,
Right. Guys, this was very important to discuss, and I'm sure, people who are watching, younger actors, male, female watching, they should know these things and also go ask questions and, ask if there is no intimacy coordinator and you want, just ask and say, I want one tomorrow. Can someone be available? Right. Now we move on to our next round on astrology and New Year resolutions, powered by Astroyogi, India's #1 rated live astrology app. So let's start. One is very simple. What's your resolution for 2023? Are you someone who makes resolutions?
No, I think I don't really wait for a year to make a resolution. I'm someone who's actually constantly, I'm such a timetable that I'm making a resolution every day in my head. I'm like, I'm a walking, talking timetable. So at night I'll say, tomorrow I'm going to do this. So I'm too disciplined. I think my resolution should be not to make a timetable for myself. And it's a joke that even on my free day, I would have a schedule that I will go for a massage, then then I will go for a hair spa, then I will do this.
Timetable.
Yeah, too much of a timetable. So yeah, no resolutions.
Right. Tamannaah, are you someone who makes resolutions? Is it good to have some ticks?
I think it just depends. So every year is different. Some years I just pretend like it's not even shifting the next year. But this year I'm quite happy. For once, I'm grateful. I end this year at a note of a lot of gratitude because as an actor I've had this beautifully amazing career till now. It's been many years of working in very many different languages. But this year I got to play parts that really were cathartic for me as an actor. So I end this year with a lot of gratitude, and I hope that I make many more things in my life next year, which I have more things to be grateful for.
Right. Bhumi, if you were to ask one question to an astrologer, ki next year ka, what would you like to ask?
Firstly, it can't be one question.
Okay.
Firstly, Bhumi will...
Wow. Please tell us.
I don't listen. That's also one of the things. I don't follow what they say, but gives me
I
like
love
a
to
kick.
listen.
I feel like when they talk to me, I feel like, Bhumi, you are going to conquer the world.
I have the same feeling. I love to know like ये बहुत अच्छा करेगी. Very good. और बोलो.
मुझे बहुत मजा आता है. But my questions are so frivolous.
Like,
No, I can't. I can't.
It's all boy related.
I have this impression. I mean, why not?
Right.
Why not? Because everything else is under control. So why not?
Right. Huma, would you ask something? Then what would you? What would your question be?
Similar things, I guess. Like I think we all love astrologers and like numerologists, and my mother used to make me wear like some stones also till a few years ago, which now stopped wearing. So I love all this, and not that I believe in it. I don't think I really believe in it. I think, but I have a healthy curiosity for everything. अच्छा कोई मुझे बोले अच्छा मैं बोलती हाँ सर पंडित जी हाथ देख के बताओ क्या लिखा है. अच्छा ये होता है फिर तो I am very just.
Because I just take it the way I want to. Sometimes if they say ना कि ये नहीं होगा, नहीं ये नहीं होगा, तो then I'm like अब तो मैं करके दिखाऊंगी, And when they say कि बहुत अच्छा है, तो then I'm like wow, very good. So it's you kind of navigate through it.
Right. Well, if someone says add an extra A and it'll get you great luck, hit movies, blah blah blah, will you do that?
I've changed my name so many times. I went from Alaya, which was my birth name, to Alaya with an I. So originally Alaya was spelled like the brand, ALAIA.
Right.
Then no one could understand how to pronounce it. Then I changed it to Alaya with a Y. If I change it once more. Anyways, people are confused. They don't know what to call me. I can't know.
When you change these, anything was according to this is lucky, add this.
So I was like, since I'm changing it, might as well make sure everything is in line.
Why not?
Opportunity to change it.
Get all that energy.
So everything's correct.
Right. Does this work like that? Okay, this is, I've done movies with so-and-so actor and, they have worked. This is my lucky co-star. Does it work like that?
My lucky co-star.
Never.
No, but Rajkummar told me that all my characters I have to pick from now onwards with the letter M because M is very lucky for me.
Right.
So, Monica, Maharani, Mohsina, gang
So
I said Raj यार मैंने कहा अब next
अब
time
मैं कैरेक्टर का नाम चेंज करा दूंगी अगर मुझे स्क्रिप्ट
कोई लेके आए मैम आपके लिए स्क्रिप्ट है सलमानी मलमा.
Tamannaah, would you add something to your name?
I have done it long ago.
And
when I started my career.
double N
What?
or something.
It's double N, double AH. So Tamannaah is spelled as TAMANNA. Mine has an A and H extra.
Right. And so you are a believer and you think it's worth
Well, in
it.
my case, I changed my name when I was 14 years old. And at 15, I got my first film. And then I just became an actor. And then my name has stayed as is.
Right.
But my numerological change was way before I actually forayed into the movies.
Right.
I don't know whether it is, I want to believe it's not because of that name spelling change. But if something is helpful or it's becoming better, I don't think there's any harm in it.
Right.
But I'm not married to the idea that you need to change your spelling or anything.
But would you be like, okay, this is the release date, this date is anyway lucky for me, it's great that it's releasing on this day.
Yeah, I think about it. Sometimes with the release date, I believe that number one is, lucky for me or, So if it's falling on that date, then I'm like, arey, bahut achhi baat hai, it's on my... But not that I'm going to change the release date or if there's a certain number that I feel is not lucky for me. So I don't really then pay too much attention to it. But my name I've always been very possessive of, if I can say so, that I would never change at all. Yeah.
And lastly, again, similar question. If you had a meeting or something important, do you have a lucky color? Do you feel like I'll wear this and
whatever I don't look fat in.
That's the lucky color.
पतली लग रही हूँ मैं वही पहनूँ.
That should be the. That should be the.
पतला लगना चाहती हूँ. अगर black है तो black.
But my go-to always is a white shirt and jeans.
Same.
Go-to.
Yeah. Go-to. I think it's the smartest.
You don't have to
Because
think.
it's lucky or?
No, not lucky. It's my go-to. Ki white shirts are my go-to. Matlab, if I walk into a store, I come out with 3 white shirts.
You can't
I don't
become
have so many white shirts.
so calculative in your head.
It's not in your hands.
Yeah, it's not in your hands, and you can't become so calculative that I will wear this color or I have to start a film on a certain date, because I've seen so many people who
Depends,
become
people
so
must be
obsessive.
believers, I guess. Yeah.
No, but then it becomes borderline.
Movies.
So much
Yeah.
like everything.
No, movies are a collective luck, I think.
Correct.
It's a
Collective luck.
It's
Yes.
not one person.
Yes.
It's not
Yeah.
these
It's not one
numbers, but
person's
it's
effort.
energies.
It's not one person's luck. It is so
Right.
many people coming together. So it's collective.
And you shouldn't put that much pressure
Absolutely.
on yourself.
Yeah.
On yourself. That's
On
it.
yourself,
what I was
absolutely.
It's not a
Like, you know, when
personal-
people call you a lucky mascot or oh, आपकी 3 फिल्में hit हो गई है.
It's okay.
I don't care. It
You
should
don't-
be film to film. Some films will do well, some films will not. In fact, there's been a time where, like, you know, I knew this film is not going to be loved. Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, no, but it's coming on this date. Like, you know, you then start when you know things are not going as you expected, you start looking for, like, you know, some positive energy. And everything happened on lucky, wacky, whatever. But the film didn't get love. So if it's not going to work, it's not going to work.
And the only lucky mascot in our industry is Tabu anyway, guys. So
Right. We all love her, guys. You know, the things we discussed here were so important. So thank you for, you know, being so open and frank about these things. These things are important to so many people watching this. So, and we are all very proud of each one of you for the kind of work that you all are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
एक जिंदगी काफी नहीं है. टनंग टनंग टनंग.
Watch the full episode of Bollywood Hungama's Best Actress Roundtable on Astro Yogi, India's #1 rated live astrology app.